Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at all Eeveelutions and see if we can fix them for PvP. If you enjoy this type of videos, really feel free to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I did similar videos already back in the day, and I kinda want to bring them back where I talk a little bit more about what is happening if you can give Pokemon certain moves, or like add certain moves, or buff certain moves, and so I kinda want to bring those kind of series back. So if you enjoy this type of videos, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. They always take like way longer than other videos, so let's dive right into it. Starting off with a Vaporeon, we're going to be able to buff some Pokemon by just giving them new moves that they're already in the game, and some Pokemon actually going to add completely new moves that are moves in the main series games, but not in Pokemon Go yet. Here we're gonna start off with a Vaporeon, where we're going to have actually kind of decent stats, to be fair. Has a lot of HP, this Pokemon. Very bulky in the main series games as well. By the way, we're only going to take a look at Great League because it's the most interesting league for most people. But yeah, Vaporeon here having currently Awkward Tail, the Water Gun as well as the Last Resort. Of course, Awkward Tail got buffed, so that's kind of cool for it. But Last Resort is pretty garbage coverage. Taking a look now at Icy Wind, this would allow you to beat some certain Pokemon, like something like the Mandibuzz in general. Gives you more play and more bulk as well, which is always kind of cool. But as you're gonna see here as well, the average only increases by 18 by giving this Pokemon Icy Wind, but this would be kind of like a quick fix in order to buff this Pokemon without having to add anything new, but still make this Pokemon a little bit more playable. And I think it would be actually a very cool Pokemon to use, also in the Ultra League for sure, but maybe we can do even a little bit more. So, we're gonna take a look now at Flip Turn. Flip Turn, we're going to make a 16 energy, 11 damage, and 4 turn water type fast move. Flip Turn is basically the same in the main CS games as a Volt Switch, but you do a little bit less damage in the main CS games with Flip Turn because water type Pokemon are usually a little bit stronger. But as you're gonna see here, it's going to definitely increase it by quite a bit. We're going to have 4 more wins total and 60 average rating together with the Icy Wind as well, of course, here. But in total, like, you're actually not going to win that many more matchups directly. And it is still going to buff it for sure, but like it's not the craziest buff either. Still, I would like to see Flip Turn in the game, but I'm kind of torn a little bit there as well, because Flip Turn is a great water type fast move that I feel like a lot of Pokemon would really enjoy, like something like Blasters, for example, would really enjoy it. There are quite a lot of water type Pokemon that struggle with the fast move. If you take a look at the top tier meta picks for water types as well, which is like mainly water types, you see basically on all of them that they don't have a water type fast move. They're going to have Mudshot, they're going to have the Shadow Claw like Feraligatr, Steel Wing like the Umbreon, but next to no one is running a water type fast move, because right now I guess Greninja's fast move is the best water type fast move, but otherwise you have like something like Bubble, which is okay but not great, and a Water Gun, which is kinda decent but like still not really that great. But I feel like Flip Turn would be a cool move to add, but again, I don't really want to see even more water type Pokemon, so it's kinda hit or miss. But yeah, this is going to be it for Vaporeon. You cannot completely make it crazy meta most likely, but still, you can buff it a little bit and would most likely have some play, especially in certain cups. Moving on to Flareon, one of the worst Pokemon currently, and honestly one of the ones that has the most potential without having to do like a lot of it. We're going to add 2 new moves here. It's going to be Incinerate as well as Flame Charge. This Pokemon currently, it's insanely squishy, but giving it some very hard-hitting moves in terms of Incinerate and Superpower, which is already like Superpower is like a legacy move for this Pokemon from a community day. You're going to add Flame Charge towards it as well, and you're going to make this a crazy good sweeper. And this is always like the one-shot scenario, slash in the right side the 0 to 1 shot scenario. And what you're gonna see as well, this Pokemon is going to be very, very solid in the 2 shields, just because you do so much damage with the Incinerate, plus also of course like the Flame Charge going to help you out with the damage output as well. So it would be actually kind of decent and a cool Pokemon to run, and Fire type with Fighting type coverage and Incinerate usage and kind of attack rated. It still would not be totally meta either, but I think it would be a fun Pokemon to run, so definitely something I would like to see. Incinerate does not make this Pokemon like crazy strong or whatever either, like not overpowered at least, but it would definitely make this Pokemon quite decent. Moving on to Jolteon. As you're gonna see here, I'm only going to add Shadow Ball to this Pokemon. I could have also added a Wild Charge, but in calculations it was worse. I think Wild Charge would be better than Discharge. Discharge is sadly kinda a little bit of a garbage move. Like, it's not like crazy bad, but it's also not good. And so we're going to add here the Shadow Ball, and you're gonna see it going to increase a little bit the rating against something like Nihilate or the Cresselia, but it would not really make this Pokemon too crazy good. And here's another move that I would like to see in the game, and most of the moves that you're going to see here added as well, I'm going to talk in a separate video where I even add more potential moves for the future for Pokemon Go into the game code and see how that's going to function. So those going to come up again in a different video and a little bit more detailed. But why not add a new move called Electro Web, which is going to be a clone of Icy Wind. And I feel like this is something that has to happen quite soon. I think this would be something great after Worlds for an update, because Electro Web, so many Pokemon learn this. Basically, all the bug type learn it, like Ariados, like the Beedrill, and it would be great coverage for them, because all of a sudden, something like a Mantine has no play against the Beedrill anymore, which is kind of funny, and I think that would be cool. Or against the Ariados, and I think this would be cool. It would be just great coverage. I feel like electric type coverage is not really that common in the meta right now, and Electro Web has so much potential. So many Pokemon learn this move, and it is basically in the main series games the exact same as Icy Wind as well. So like, you just copy that here as well, and we're just going to have -1 attack on the opponent for when you use it, and 6 damage, 45 energy, electric type move, and it makes it a little bit better, but you cannot fix it. But still, I would really enjoy Electro Web in the code, just because of for the game, just because so many Pokemon learn it, and I think it would be a lovely coverage for so many Pokemon. I think it would be so cool to have, especially to make some bug types very viable, because so many bug types learn this move, which is kind of hilarious, just because it's a web move, which is cool. So hopefully you're gonna see that soon in the game. Moving on, the only one that maybe doesn't need a buff is going to be Umbreon. But we're actually going to play a little bit around with this Pokemon here as well for today, because I think it's a cool Pokemon to talk about as well. There might be actually a video coming up next week about Umbreon as well. Last time when Great League was available, I had a great team with this Pokemon, so definitely stay tuned for that for the final week of the season. But anyway, we're going to have here the best Eeveelution currently, which is the Umbreon. We're going to add Sand Attack, and we're going to see here that Sand Attack is going to improve this Pokemon quite a bit. 10 average rating, but you see as well, like, you're going to have more options against something like a Bastion, which I feel like is cool. 1-turn fast moves are always the best ones anyway, and so you're going to lose against the Skarmory, but I think it would make a little bit of a difference. If you want to make a little bit more of a difference and make this Pokemon top tier meta, S tier, then we would add a new move, and a new move that I also kind of would like to see in the game. And again, we're going to talk in a separate video about the new moves anyway a little bit more. It's going to be Alluring Voice. So this is a new fairy type move from the last generation, and this is going to be here, at least I put it in as a Surf clone, which I feel like is kind of cool for this move, and I think it would be kind of fitting for this move, and I think it would be kind of nice for fairy type Pokemon in general to get a Surf clone fairy type move, because right now we have the I think what's called, I think there was like Disarming Voice, is it? I think it is. There's like one that is kind of a Foul Play clone, then you have Moonblast, and you're going to have the Dazzling Gleam, and they're all kind of more like higher energy, a lot of damage type of thing. But here, this would be a really, really good move to have, and a great coverage move against, like, for a lot of Pokemon as well. Like, so many Pokemon learn Alluring Voice as well. And what we're gonna see here, this makes this Pokemon quite overpowered Pokemon, to be fair. Like, you're going to be able to have even a better matchup now against Gastly. Destroy Gastly now was one of the hardest answers to this Pokemon before. Now it is completely gone. And so I feel like this Pokemon would have quite a lot of potential getting this move. It would be even cheaper than the Foul Play, so I would see that people would most likely run Dark Pulse instead than on this Pokemon here, just to have a little bit more of a higher damage output with that thing as well. And I feel like it would be such a cool Pokemon to have with Alluring Voice, but again, it might be a little bit too broken, who knows. Let's move on to the next one. Espeon. I am gonna make it short. You can't buff it. I don't know how to buff it. The only thing that you can buff, which I kind of excluded for this kind of video today, is if you buff Confusion. Which I would like to see, to be fair. I think it would be good and bad at the same time. If you buff Confusion, Pokemon like Hypno are going to be better, which is kind of nice. The only issue for Confusion, in my opinion, is that one Pokemon that learns it is Cresselia, and Cresselia is already very solid. So you have to make sure basically that Confusion is going to be lower than Psycho Cut, and I don't think you can buff it in a way where it's going to be better. So this Pokemon is going to be kinda unbuffable. We're going to use Dig here as a secondary charge move instead of Shadow Ball, just to give different coverage, but it's not going to be making this way better. I looked at Psychic type moves that I could maybe add as like fast moves, but there were not really any that was really viable. The recent Psychic type move that was added to the game that has like horrible stats right now, I would have changed those maybe, but it doesn't learn the move, so like it doesn't have, I think it's High Wave or something, it doesn't learn the move. So Espeon is basically unbuffable. I think it's not really a Pokemon that can get better, so sadly I can have to give up on this thing here because it does not seem to be the way that this Pokemon would actually be way better with any move that it learns right now. So unless there's like some change to Confusion, then it would be better, but maybe they make Confusion like a cover, like a clone of Volt Switch or whatever. I don't know, like I honestly don't know. It is currently not really possible to buff this Pokemon, so let's move on to the next one. Leafeon. This Pokemon is way easier to buff. We're going to add 2 new moves. One is a little bit more important than the other one. We're going to add Sand Attack, which is not as important, but we're also going to add Weather Ball Fire, and this would be important because, as you're gonna see here, we're going to have a decent change for this thing, making this actually really good. And I honestly think Leafeon is already quite decent, just because having Quick Attack / Bullet Seed and Leaf Blade is just so great. Like, Leaf Blade is such a strong move, like the best move in the game basically. And Weather Ball just going to give you great coverage here. It's going to be usually always worse compared to the Leaf Blade. I looked at other moves as well. I would have liked to see Dig as well on this Pokemon, which I think would be kind of cool for it. But Leafeon has a lot of kind of different variations which you can buff this Pokemon with. You can also go for a Shadow Ball, which would be kind of cool. This thing has a lot of potential, and I think it would be cool Pokemon to get buffed quite a bit, but we have to see on what Niantic does. Weather Ball Fire, by the way, seems also kind of likely for this Pokemon, because right now Niantic only adds Weather Ball to Pokemon that have either abilities that summon like rain or like weather effects in general, or they have some that can use weather effects. And like this Pokemon, for example, has in main series games the ability Chlorophyll, which is boosting the speed by 2 stages. And we had similar stuff, I think, already with the Roserade, which also got Weather Ball Fire as well with it. And so that one makes some sense here. I would really like to see Leafeon getting a little bit of a buff, but they're definitely possible to buff those Pokemon, so that's definitely one of my ones that I would really like to see. But let's move on to the next one. Glaceon. It's tough. It is tough. This Pokemon is just going to be a tricky one to really buff. We want to add the move Awkward Tail. Awkward Tail is going to give you a better coverage, because currently you don't have coverage, but also it's going to be the cheapest move that it can learn, and so you get like a little bit of a better average rating, and you lose one more battle, which is kind of interesting, but it is what it is. So like, unless you add a new move, it's not going to really work. There is one move that maybe is going to be added like this, but I doubt it's going to be added like this, but I would like to see it. It is going to be Freeze Dry as a fast move. Here I made Freeze Dry an Incinerate clone. There is no real reason behind it. I just think it's funnier, and I think I would rather have some more Incinerate clones, or like something similar to it. Maybe even something that gives me like 25 energy and like 15 damage, something like this, like crazy stuff. But yeah, we're going to have an Incinerate clone here, which is a very solid attack with Freeze Dry there as well. And we're gonna see as well that this Pokemon gets quite a decent boost. It's not going to make this Pokemon broken at all, but like on other Pokemon, Freeze Dry would be a very, very good fast move to have if this would ever happen. Some people might think now, oh, you could have just buffed Frost Breath. I couldn't. I feel like Frost Breath is sadly unbuffable because of Dewgong. Dewgong is already very strong with Ice Shot, and Ice Shot is not like the best move ever. And giving basically Frost Breath a buff, you kind of have to be careful that you don't make it too much better than Ice Shot. And it is just a little bit awkward, because otherwise, like, yeah, Frost Breath would be a cool move to get buffed, but like with Dewgong available, it is not really an option. And no, Niantic cannot take away moves from Pokemon. I asked them before, like, unless they're like on it by mistake or something like this, they're not allowed to remove them. So don't even ask for this. It's not possible, sadly. Would be, of course, the best solution, just get rid of Frost Breath on the Dewgong, but we will never see that. So that is what it is. So I would rather see something like Freeze Dry. I think Freeze Dry makes more sense as a charge move, though, to be fair, but like it was like the only ice type move that I was seeing that I thought maybe would be cool for it. But yeah, it is what it is. I think it still would be kind of cool to have something like this in the game. This move is definitely not gonna be in my top moves to get added. Like this, definitely not. But like it would be a funny way to add Freeze Dry for sure. But let's move on to the next one. Final one for today. Most likely the easiest to buff is going to be Sylveon. There are two different ways. Here we're just going to take a look at the first one, which is like going to be the main way that I would think would be cool, is adding Mystical Fire. As you can see here, it would actually make this Pokemon really, really good, especially with like Quick Attack, because you're going to get to the moves a little bit faster. Mystical Fire being the Icy Wind clone, but as a Fire type charge move, going to allow you to beat Steel type as well now with this thing, which is kind of mad, and just going to give you some better coverage. Other way is not to put like the Mystical Fire on this at all, but rather go for the Flareon. Flareon is going to be a better fast move, but it does not change too much without like the charge move itself, so this would be the more impactful change. I would not go for Flareon and Mystical Fire, because then this Pokemon would be busted. But I feel like just putting Mystical Fire on this Pokemon would make a lot of sense, and I think this would be a cool change. But yeah, this is going to be it for all the Eeveelutions. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about it. What is your favorite Eeveelution as well? Let me know below. Let me know down below. That's exactly what I want to say. And I see you then. Bye-bye.